We now welcome Ryan Hanson onto the YouTube channel, a well-known JMU punter who had a great career with the Dukes. Ryan, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We're excited to talk about your NFL draft prep. We're a few days out from the draft and obviously signings after that. I was curious just your emotional state here, having gone through a long college career, this whole process, knowing that you'll have some idea about your NFL future here in the next few days or a week or so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited, just, starting that right off the bat. Obviously whatever opportunity comes for me, I'm gonna be very, very thankful for it and ready to pursue it and get after it either way. But, on the flip side of that, if it doesn't work out or, if it doesn't go as planned, I'm at peace with it. I've had a great college career. I really enjoyed my time at JMU and Arkansas State. So I'm thankful for what the game of football has given me, and I'm very thankful for what I've gotten out of it. So, either way, I'm looking forward to the next steps in life, whether that's football or not.
What have you heard from NFL teams? What feedback have you gotten, sort of leading up to the draft and all that stuff?
Yeah, so when I was at the Tropical Bowl, I talked to a
Mhm.
few teams, and I've been in contact with a couple teams recently. So a lot of their feedback is more than likely I'll end up getting some sort of a rookie minicamp invite after the draft or something like that. So obviously, we'll see how the dominoes fall, and see what actually happens on on draft day and beyond. So just kind of excited and ready to go. Prove that I can make it happen somewhere.
Awesome. You had a ton of success at JMU. I know the one game that comes to mind, I guess, is 2023 Marshall, where it seemed like every punt you had was inside the 10. Do you have any favorite memories during your couple of years at JMU?
I will say obviously the Marshall game is, number one just because of everything that went into it and how cool it was. But I will say beating Coastal Carolina in 2023 was really cool. Just, being able to clinch the East. Like that was a very cool experience in the locker room after the game, just being able to celebrate and have a great time, with the team. And, I feel like it was one of those things that that's where I really experienced winning for the first time in my college career and like, really what it felt like to win and continuously win. So obviously that and the Boca Bowl was pretty special this past year. Like I had, special teams MVP of the game, like great time there, like great way to go out. So I will say those two experiences right there were definitely top tier for me.
I know a lot goes into sort of the craft of punting, but what is it about your game that allowed you so consistently during your college career to pin teams inside the 20 and inside the 10?
I will say just touch and feel, and I feel like a lot of that comes from golf. So I mean, I have a very very long golf background growing up, so there's a lot of similarities between the two. So just being able to have that touch and have that feel like, hey, like I need to hit this ball 40 yards to this spot, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. So being able to just kind of work on that and replicate that over and over again is more or less one of the things that really helped me be successful.
You play a lot of golf in Harrisonburg. Do you have time to play?
I do. So yeah, I was gonna say I'm finishing my master's degree right now, and I'm working out at Paxel, so I play out there pretty often.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome. I guess is wedge play a strength of your game then
it
when
is. It is. So yeah, the pooch punting and the wedge play kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, I like to throw some darts from time to time. So occasionally it doesn't go as planned, but hey,
awesome. What's the handicap these days? You track it?
about 5.5 right now.
Pretty good, yeah. And I was interested too, just given how long you were at JMU, you mentioned all the wins and sort of the success there. What's it like to be a punter on a really good team where obviously, there are some games where they don't need you a whole lot, but how do you sort of stay focused and engaged on the sideline when you've got a team that's winning so much, but when they do call on you, they certainly need you to execute.
Yeah, like I feel like when you're on a team that, is winning a lot and is in a lot of games, it makes each punt that much more important. I mean, when you're losing by 30 points, it doesn't really matter if the punt, is good or is bad. Like obviously, yeah, I want to hit a great ball, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to change that much. So I feel like just by staying really locked in and just staying focused on my process and staying focused on things that I could control and, things that I really knew that I could do a great job of is kind of really what helped me stay locked into each and every different opportunity that came up.
I know for golf and I guess like basketball, if you're shooting a three-pointer, some shooters know it's going in, or golf, if you hit a good wedge, you kind of know right off the club face. Is it the same with punting, where like once you hit it, you got an idea that it's pretty good?
For the most part, yes. Occasionally you can get lucky here and there, and or sometimes the wind you'll hit a great ball and the wind will hit it or something like that. But for the most part, it's I know pretty quickly whether it was a good ball or not.
And I was curious, you were at Arkansas State for a while too. What sort of stood out from your time there, and what sort of did you develop in your game that you took to JMU from when you were at Arkansas State?
Definitely mental toughness. That was one of the things that I think Coach Jones, the head coach there, really instilled in me and does a great job instilling in his players to this day. Is that no matter the circumstances, no matter what the situation may be, your mental approach and your mental toughness is something that is extremely important. And he was an absolutely a massive reason I was able to have as much success as I did in my college career, just because I feel like he developed and kind of gave me the mental fortitude to be able to go out there and just handle whatever came my way.
So you mentioned your, I guess, showcase you were invited to earlier this year. What was it like doing that and sort of kicking in front of scouts?
It was cool. Like it was a very cool experience to be able to go down to Florida and be able to do that. And so it was a different environment. I would say a lot different than anything I experienced in college football. But I had a great time, and I punted pretty well, so it was fun.
Awesome. Did you have a favorite NFL team that comes to mind? I'm sure I know I talked to teammates who said, right, anyone now at this point is their favorite team, but
Yeah, obviously anybody who wants to take me is phenomenal. Like I don't care where it is or where it's at, I'll go there. But I mean, I will say just the Cowboys and Texans obviously come to mind. Just growing up in Texas, so I grew up watching both of those teams. Wasn't really a huge fan of either one, so just one of those things. I kind of keep an eye on them throughout the years.
did you grow up like idolizing punters? Were there punters that you've watched recently that you're like, I love watching this guy kick?
I did. So I grew up watching Michael Dixon punt a lot, who was
Mhm.
a punter for Texas for a
Yeah.
while now. Seahawks. I love his game. I love the way he approaches it. I feel like it's kind of relatively similar to how I approach punting. Like it's a lot of the same feel, a lot of the same tactics. But I loved watching him. I love watching Thomas Morstead, like both two all time greats. So two dudes who done a great job for years.
Awesome. What's it like, I guess, when you're working on punting throughout the week? Do you have to kind of balance, I guess, fatigue and leg work with also getting the work? And I'm always curious what it looks like for a punter on game week in terms of their prep.
Yeah, so I mean, during in season, like my mentality was it's all about the game. Like it's all
Hmm.
about getting your body ready for game day. And so sometimes that may vary. Like sometimes I may punt 8, 9 times in a game, and like your body's not going to feel great for the next couple days after that. But if you punt 3 or 4 times, you can kind of get back into it a little bit more. So more than anything, I would try to hit 15, 20 balls on Tuesday and about 15, 20 balls on Thursday. That way, when game day comes around, my body is in the absolute best possible position to be able to get after it, and I'm at 100% and can be able to withstand 4 quarters of on and off. So it's one of those things. Like obviously, it's a lot different in the off season, but the season, the focus is all on game day.
You mentioned the comparison to golf. I know if it's right hot in the summer, the ball is going to travel farther if you're golfing compared to like the winter. How does that affect you as a punter in terms of like wet, cold conditions compared to like a perfect August game?
Yeah, I will say when it gets cold, when it gets wet, it gets so much harder to hit the ball just because, especially when you get later in the year and your body's sore, you're tired, you're beat up, it's, when you're in App State and it's 32 degrees outside and it's week 11, and that ball doesn't feel real great off the foot at that point. So it's just one of those situations like you have to be able to get your body, in the absolute best possible place to go out there and handle the cold and just kind of have to find a way to make it happen.
Makes sense. And what's your prep look like now as you sort of stay ready for whatever the NFL opportunity is?
So yeah, I've been lifting 6 days a week. I've been punting 3 days a week. So just kind of have been on more of like a normal off season program and have just kind of prepared for anything and prepared for any opportunity that's coming my way.
Awesome. Well, good luck. I know JMU fans are rooting for you. Certainly a long line of good JMU punters, Harry
Oh
O'Kane
yeah.
included, that fans have loved. So yeah, good luck with everything. We're excited for what happens next.
Yeah, thank you.